Alright, so I put some pretty thick weatherproof sealer on this box here, and it's looking pretty good. Finished putting this coping on this side. I think I'm going to get after this corner ramp over here. So I went and got materials, got some metal, some screws, got my saw over there, some more rain protection because it rains a lot. Rains a lot in Oregon. So the first thing on my agenda is to carefully disassemble the existing ramp. Next, I need to eyeball the material that I'm using in that space and take some measurements. Draw a line and cut it. Draw a line and cut it. The DIY corner ramp video that I watched that inspired me to build this ramp actually said that they don't suggest this kind of ramp as a first ramp build. Well, I've built other things, so I kind of just went for it, but I did run into a few little issues, and I think I'd have to agree. I don't recommend this as a first ramp build either. So the 45-degree vertical angle is obvious, but I figured about a 15-degree horizontal angle is just about right to get a nice fit to the slope of the ramp. The biggest issue that I ran into was finding a really good horizontal angle to go with. The 15 degrees worked out pretty well, but it doesn't fit quite flush on each end. So after I got it all put together, I realized it really didn't fit the space the way that I wanted it to, and it didn't really have the surface area for me to feel comfortable practicing flip tricks on. I also made the surface area smaller without adjusting the peak height, so this ended up being not such a mellow hip and might work out better as a kicker. So I made a little mini corner ramp. I modified planes in the middle of it just to kind of save wood. I realized I could do it with much less wood if I altered the dimensions just a little bit. I reused some old wood that was just kind of sitting around. It ended up being a lot smaller than I anticipated. It was just tiny, and I'm starting to build a new one right now with the wood that I bought because I was being conservative. I didn't really use like any of the wood. I'm using just about 2 pieces of plywood like that. I'm also going to make, I redid a gate, so I'm also going to make a manual pad out of this without using too much extra lumber. Here's that gate that I redid. I'm going to convert the gate into the manual pad in the next video. I really like how my second attempt comes out a lot better, so if you make it to the end, leave a comment, let me know what you think. I decided to jazz this ramp up a bit with some fractal wood burning. I wanted to have a couple bolts running from the peak down the sides, but unfortunately the current has a tough time traveling over such a long distance, so I pushed them a little closer together to kind of speed it up. Next step, mix up some epoxy resin. By far the most time-consuming part of this was all the sanding that I had to do because I put the resin down extra thick. I went with the clear coat spray paint to hopefully help protect it from the weather a little bit. I used the same angles as before for cutting the cross beams, but I also found some issues with the metal that I chose last time, so instead of 22 gauge I went with 18 this time. Since this metal was a little thicker, I had to actually countersink it. This ramp has a 10-inch peak instead of a 12-inch peak like the other one. It also has quite a bit larger of a surface area, so let's see if I can actually skate this one. If you've made it this far and you like what I've done with the place, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button. And if you don't like what I've done, just imagine you're in ancient Rome and hit the thumbs up button. Consider subscribing.